Hello, and welcome to the October edition of the second grade Math District 86 Parent Video Newsletter. Today we're going to be working from Unit 1, which is Number Sense and Operation Strategies. We're going to be looking at the strategy of how to use an array. What to expect during this video newsletter? Well, we're going to be touching base on the three different approaches of the CRA model: concrete, representational, and abstract. We're going to touch base on all three of those and how they're going to be taught during your students' math lesson. We're also going to be looking at some anchor charts, which will help our students understand what's going on in that particular strategy and some vocabulary they can solidify. We'll be looking at different ways the students will be using array models during this lesson, and we're going to be covering the Common Core standard of 2.OA.4. One thing to remember when we're talking about arrays in second grade is that arrays do not go beyond a 5 by 5, meaning all of the rows and all of the columns have 5 objects or less. An anchor chart is a tool a teacher may use to support instruction in their classroom. It is also used to help students move towards success. So these are just a few examples of some anchor charts that students may see during their time in class, whether it is in person or virtually. Anchor charts are really great for supporting vocabulary and allowing students to have a constant reminder of what they're talking about in class. One thing we want to make sure that our students are aware of is the difference between a row and a column. Rows are an arrangement of objects in a horizontal line or side by side. Columns are an arrangement of objects in a vertical line or one above the other. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our first example on creating an array using the concrete approach. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get started and do the first part of the CRA model, which is concrete. So what concrete means is that we're going to actually use physical objects to represent this problem. So let's go ahead and read our problem. Mary planted 4 rows of flowers. Each row has 3 flowers in it. How many flowers does Mary have? Well, we already discussed earlier in the video that a row is an arrangement of objects in a horizontal line or side by side. So when I think of a horizontal line, I think about the row, so I feel like that's another visual component that's able to help me create my array. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw 4 rows. So I'm just going to draw 4 horizontal lines to help me represent this picture that Mary is creating. So I have 4 rows, and I know that in each row there are 3 flowers. So I'm going to go ahead and use my counters to represent the flowers. So I'm going to put down 3 flowers in every row. So now I have an array that is a 4 by 3. So this is saying that we have 3, 3, 3, and 3. So repeated addition here is saying 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, which equals 12. So we know that Mary has 12 flowers altogether. Next, we're going to go ahead and move on to the representational phase of the CRA approach. Next, we're going to do the representational approach for creating an array. Earlier, we used counters to help us represent what Mary had planted in her garden. But when we are bridging to the representational stage, students will draw pictures of their array that they constructed using their manipulatives. For instance, a student who used counters to represent their array would build a 4x3 array with a drawing like this. So once again, we get the 3, 3, 3, 3 in each row. So we're going to do that repeated addition again. So 3 plus 3 plus 3 equals 12. So this is the representational approach. Why do we keep doing the repeated addition? Well, it's something that's going to help our students when they get to 3rd grade using multiplication. Next, we will do the final approach, which is abstract. Our final approach is the abstract approach, where we're going to go ahead and kind of take everything that we put together with our concrete materials and our representational photos and create that culminating equation and having the students understand the algorithm way of doing repeated addition. So earlier we saw that Mary had an array that looked like this. She had 4 rows and each row had 3 flowers in it. So we have an array that is a 3 by 4. So what we want to make sure is that our students are labeling their rows when creating in a repeated addition sentence, not the columns. This may not seem significant right now, but knowing the difference between a 3 by 4 and a 4 by 3 will help them in multiplication in later grades. So we know that in every row, which we talked about was our horizontal lines, is 3. So 3, 3, 3. So our repeated addition sentence looks like 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. So we know earlier from there we have 12 flowers. The abstract level of this standard is having the students label their array and write in a repeated addition sentence to match. This can be connected to our earlier approaches with our concrete, where we used our chips, our representational, where we used our pictures, and now as it bridges all together, this is the ultimate goal.